tester organization and independence. In the first section, we talked about independent testing from the psychology perspective of the tester. In this lecture, we will elaborate more on this topic, but from the point of view of how independence affects the test management of the software project. The approaches to organizing a test team vary from a company to another and from a project to another, but testing independence should be put into consideration when organizing a testing team. On one side of testing independence lies a developer with low independence who tests his own code. A little higher independence is tester from the development team. Then the independent testing team inside the organization, the customers, testing specialist, and on the very other side lies a third party or a contractor with very high independence. Independent testing is sure a good thing, but it doesn't mean that we should only consider highly independent testers. Moreover, independent testing also has its drawbacks. So let's look at each type of testers from the independence point of view and see the pros and cons of considering this type of tester to the testing team. First, the developer, the author of the code. Should we allow him to test the code even if he is highly dependent on the code? The pros of using the developer for testing are: he knows the code best, he will find problems that the testers will miss, they can find and fix faults cheaply. The cons of using the developer for testing are: difficult to destroy own work, it's his own baby after all. Tendency to see expected results, not actual results. Subjective assessment. Now let's consider a tester from the development team, other than the developer himself. The pros are: independent view of the software, more independent than the developer. He is dedicated to testing, not coding and testing at the same time. Part of the team, working to the same goal, quality. The cons are: lack of respect, he is a body after all. He is lonely, thankless task. He is the only tester in the project. There will be some sort of peer pressure. He has a single view, opinion, again he is the only tester in the project. Then comes the independent testing team, whose main job is testing. The pros: dedicated team just to do testing, specialist testing expertise, testing is more objective and more consistent. The cons: over-the-wall syndrome. There's a barrier between the developers and testers, and there could be some sort of politics issues between the two teams. Maybe confrontational. Over-reliance on testers. Developers will be lazy to test their code depending on the tester to do the job for them. Now what about the customer? Can we depend on the customer to test the software? Sure, they are the highest specialist business expertise. They know the business very well. And they might have a dedicated team just to do the testing as well. But they might not have testing expertise, and communication with the developers will be tougher. What about testing consultants or subject matter experts? They are highly specialist testing expertise, better planning and control from a broad view of testing in the organization. But do they have the level of expertise to do the job? They need good people skills and communication. They might not have the authority to do the job. Last, with the highest independence comes third-party organization, where we outsource the testing of the software to another organization. They are highly specialist testing expertise if outsourced to a good organization, independent of internal politics, but they might lack the knowledge of the product. Expertise gained in that case will go outside of our company. They could be very expensive, and there might be some sort of leaking of confidential information. So what is the best way to organize a team? For large, complex or safety-critical projects, it's usually best to have multiple levels of testing, with some or all of the levels done by independent testers. Development staff may participate in testing, especially at the lower levels, and we can ask the users to help with the testing. We can also ask testing subject matter experts to test the critical parts of your application if needed, and so on and so forth. Therefore, the idea is to get as much as possible from the pros of independent testing and try to avoid as much as possible from the cons of independent testing. To summarize, the pros or benefits of independent testing are: independent testers see other and different defects and are unbiased. An independent tester can verify assumptions that others made during the specification and implementation of the system. If a developer assumed that a value should be in a specific range, then the tester will verify this assumption and will not take it for granted. Cons or drawbacks of independent testing include isolation from the development team. At least they will be in a different team with a lot of politics governing the relationship between the teams. Developers may lose a sense of responsibility for quality. Many times I've heard developers think that they shouldn't test their code because it's the tester's responsibility, which of course is not right. I'm saying that in the nicest possible way.